Welcome to Geek Watchers today. My name is Ryan Fasige,
My name is William Bechtel.
And I am Dewan Jules.
and today's episode for Geek Watchers, we're going to have a really great episode for today. Today, we're going to be discussing a very special series that just came out 5 days ago. The Obi-Wan series trailer has dropped. Lots of news fans have been striving for it. They've been contemplating for it. Star Wars fans have been asking for it, and now we have received. So today's pretty interesting for today of what's going to come. You guys may ask, what are we to expect? What's going to happen? Is it going to be canon? Is it not going to be canon? Well, of course it's going to be canon, but it's good to ask those type of questions. But hey, what do you guys think about this new Obi-Wan series that just came out? You guys think about the trailer?
I think it looks great. I mean, I like Star Wars. I love Phantom Menace, even though people think that's probably one of the worst ones. But hearing Fate of the Duels play over the trailer, got me, nostalgic vibes pumping. Obviously, we have Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, who I think did a phenomenal job in the role. Hayden Christensen's back as Darth Vader. Might be a hot take, didn't really care for him that much in the movies, but he did fine. And surprisingly, they got Joel Edgerton back as Owen Lars, Luke's uncle, who watches over him as he's growing up and eventually gets burnt alive, which is a horrifying way to go. So I'm pretty excited for it overall.
I think with the whole direction they're going about like redoing the whole franchise, I think it's a step in the right direction going about these side stories. And especially with like a main character like Obi-Wan, I think it's a really great decision because a lot of people wondered from the movies about how Obi-Wan went from this great general for the Republic, and then after Order 66, he's just there watching this kid. So I think it's going to be good to see some of the side stories, just like Boba Fett and The Mandalorian. So I think it's going to be a good series.
Yeah, for me personally, as a Star Wars fan, I just want to give y'all a little bit of background information. When I was little, the first comic, I guess you could say comic or sci-fi type of topic that I got into was Star Wars. Like like what Will said. I watched the prequels when I was younger. I love Phantom Menace. I loved Attack of the Clones. What was the other movie? Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. Revenge of the Sith. I loved all three of those movies. That was the first movies I saw before the old 80s, 90s type of movies that came out for Star Wars. But yeah, I grew up watching that type of stuff, and Star Wars is very dear to my heart. I played all the games, I watched all the shows, seen all the characters, and just seeing the old actor coming in to play as Obi-Wan Kenobi again just brought a tear to my eye. Very great series. Judging from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be really good. I mean, one of the surprising things I saw were the Inquisitors. Not just the Grand Inquisitors, but the different type of Inquisitors that we're going to see. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how that's going to play out in the Star Wars universe. I think one of the biggest questions that I have for myself is, are we going to see maybe a connection where Darth Vader and Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, that they meet up? Is there going to be like a type of scenario where it's going to be the first time to meet? Because we all know in the 90s movies, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, they lastly meet up in the ship while what's his son? I forgot his son's name. Wow, Anakin, Luke Skywalker leads off the ship. I don't know. My brains have been fried today. Luke is trying to leave off the ship, but it's very interesting to see how that's going to really pretty much play out. But yeah, the trailer looks really fantastic, and hopefully it's going to be real good. What questions do you guys see, or what do you guys predict that's going to happen in the movies?
So obviously it looks like the driving force of the main antagonist, other than Darth Vader, or you could say the Empire as a whole, it's going to be the Inquisitors. It looks like Rupert Friend. I think that's how you say the name. I could be wrong. He's playing the Grand Inquisitor, who I've seen people kind of clowning on the way he looks, but you got to keep in mind this guy was created for Rebels. They probably didn't intend for him to be brought over to live action, so I think that he looks pretty good. I didn't really see an issue with it. I mean, I haven't seen Rebels either, so I really don't want to watch it, but I'm probably going to watch it before the series comes out. I think Sung Kang, who plays Han in the Fast and Furious movies, he's playing another Inquisitor. I think he's playing Fifth Brother. So we'll see how that goes. And then some other people that I noticed is Kumail Nanjiani, who we saw recently in Eternals. There's also, surprisingly, I saw Ice Cube and his son O'Shea Jackson Jr. In the cast as well. So it's going to be interesting to see who they play. But from what I understand is that this is supposed to be a space western. So my kind of going off of what I saw from the trailers, we obviously see Obi-Wan kind of watching over Luke on the farm from a distance, not really interfering with the life, not yet at least. And he's being hunted by the Grand Inquisitor or the Inquisitors. And it looks like we go to a location that looks like I don't really know any bigger cities to compare it to, but it looks like a relatively larger city in the Star Wars universe. It doesn't look like it's Coruscant. I don't know what that was, sorry. But it might be interesting to see if we might see some sort of like gangster sort of thing, like the Hutts could come in at some point. I think that could be interesting. That's just kind of like a wish list. I do want to see the Hutts come back in again, because from what we see from the Hutts in at least the movies, we only really see Jabba the Hutt, and you could say his nephew Zeno the Hutt in the Clone Wars movie, but I know there's probably a lot of people who haven't watched the Clone Wars series or even Rebels. Like I haven't seen it, but I think it would be very interesting to see them come in some form in the story. But overall, I honestly have no idea how this is going to go. Obviously, it's a pretty safe assumption to make that Obi-Wan survives at the end, mostly due to the events of Episode 4, A New Hope, because, like you said earlier, Ryan, he gets offed by Darth Vader pretty early, like in the first act of the movie. So it honestly, if the only thing I'm really hoping for is just just something to satisfy my little Neanderthal brain, I just want to see a really cool lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader again. I think that would be fantastic.
Okay, tapping in. What's it called? I think the overarching plot for this movie is just gonna be someone somehow figures out that Luke is a thing, and they're going after him before the events of the movies. So I think the whole purpose is Obi-Wan is going to either deal with that, well, not either deal with that, but he's either going to take care of the Vindicators and somehow end up in the city and get mixed up and maybe, some Jabba the Hutt activity or something along those lines. And then I think another thing we might see, I see another option, is that either this is before and Obi-Wan is just wandering about, like he knows Luke, but he's more just wandering about, seeing what's going on in the lands and stuff. And then at the end is when he finds Luke. So I think those are the two ways the movie can go. And in terms of maybe like cameos, I can see maybe what kind of cameo? I don't think we'll see, well, maybe Rebels, because this is the time period of Rebels. So we might see maybe like a ship appearance or something along those lines. Because basically, to sum up Rebels, in the first half, it's just about Ezra, this random kid Ezra. He's been found by a little rebel group, and they go around doing, rebel stuff, saving people, trying to escape from the Vindicators. And since this is all just about time, this time period is just about young Jedis, old Jedis just being hunted by Vindicators. I think that's all what the focus is going to be. So I think this is really just going to be a Obi-Wan's last, kind of stand against the Sith for a while. So that's what I see this movie series being about.
Speaking about appearances, guys, one thing one thing I say, I'm going to take it back from the Obi-Wan series and bring it back to the Book of Jango Fett. Spoiler alert, and if you haven't seen it, please go see it. But one of the episodes I saw Ahsoka and Lucas both being appeared, being, I guess, appearances on the Jango Fett, and I didn't expect that to happen. And so one of the questions that I also was going to ask y'all is, what appearances that you didn't see from the trailer do you think might happen in this series? So for me, for example, I think in this series, we might, okay, I'm not fully 100%. I think we might see Ahsoka. Maybe Miss Mace Windu. Maybe Mace Windu. I've heard that Samuel L. Jackson has been talking to Star Wars production, trying to return like for the past 3 years, and so he's wanting to return back to his favorite character. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see Mace Windu, Ahsoka Tano, and of course R2D2. Of course, we're probably gonna see him. But for you guys, this is one of my guesses. But for you guys, what do you guys think that? What appearance do you see happening in this series?
So,
Well,
ooh,
after,
go ahead, Dewan. Sorry.
oh, my bad. Well, I think out of the two you mentioned, I think Ahsoka is the more prominent guest because what I've noticed is a trend in most of these series. I haven't really kept up with them, but with a lot of the Star Wars series, Ahsoka has been a prime like guest in basically all of them. So if anybody's gonna come in, it's definitely gonna be Ahsoka, which needs to hurry up and get her own show, by the way.
Yeah, I definitely agree that Ahsoka is going to be in it, especially I think the Ahsoka series is airing next year, I believe. Um, I could be wrong on the dates, so don't quote me on that, but I do know it's coming out soon or relatively soon. So I definitely think Ahsoka will be in the story in some form, if not helping Obi-Wan in some way, then she'll show up as a cameo, or it's setting it up for her series that will air later on as time goes on. Like I said earlier, I'm kind of hoping that the Hutt crime family shows up in some capacity. Like maybe not like that's another antagonist for Obi-Wan to deal with because he already has the Inquisitors and Darth Vader on him. But maybe he seeks out their help for some reason. I think that could be interesting. A lot of people are assuming Darth Maul might be in it, but I don't think so. Mostly because it looks like he was well. Okay, so like we all know that Obi-Wan slices him in half in Phantom Menace. He comes back in Clone Wars, and then he kind of gets arrested for a brief amount of time. Then Order 66 goes out. Then Ahsoka frees him and gets his help so that she and Rex can escape. And that's what he does. He does some pretty crazy stuff, and then he gets killed in Rebels by an older Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I feel like kind of tied off that story with Maul. So I don't really think we're going to see his character, at least not in the capacity people would want to see. I mean, and plus, like he was kind of teased at the end of Solo, but I don't know if they're doing anything with that because Solo didn't get the worst reception out of Star Wars movies, but it didn't really get the best reception either, me personally, give or take the movie. But I'd say overall, I would definitely make an assumption that the Hutt family would show up and Ahsoka.
Gotcha. And speaking about Darth Maul too, for me, if Darth Maul was to appear on in this series, like Will said before, he wouldn't be as drastic like as he is in Rebels and Clone Wars. I feel like it'd be more of like they might meet like maybe towards the end of the first season, whenever they meet up, they see that, oh wow, like they meet up against each other, and then maybe they might have a duel fight or something like that. I'm not too sure, but for me, if I saw Darth Maul, and I was looking kind of thinking too, with my list of people who we could see if Darth Maul could fit in there, but not too. He could, but not too strongly. He wouldn't have too much of a impact in the storyline. I mean, he could. Depends how the writers of Star Wars do it, but we just gotta leave it up to them. Oh man.
And I like that you brought up Mace Windu because I've been seeing a lot of speculation that Samuel Jackson might return. How they're gonna explain how he survived getting electrocuted and thrown off of the Capitol building in Coruscant. I don't know. I mean, then again, it is a franchise about space wizards and space cults, so you can bend the lines of reality just a little bit. Personally, I think they underplayed Mace Windu in the prequels, but I think the iteration we see in the Tartakovsky series, the original Clone Wars cartoon that came out before Episode 3, I feel like that was a really good representation of how powerful he is as a Force user. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a Mace Windu miniseries like we're getting with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, or maybe just like a one-off, like hour and a half long mini movie sort of thing that just kind of explains what Mace has been up to if he happened to survive the encounter with Palpatine and Anakin.
And see, the thing is, for me, I know that Mace Windu is going to return not only because of what Samuel L. Jackson is doing, but because of I've been a Star Wars fan for a long time. I've seen there's been Jedi who've been through way worser way through incidents that way worse than Mace Windu, and they've still survived. And Mace Windu, I mean, yes, he did get his arm cut off, and he did get thrown out of a window, but I can still see him surviving. Like how they might play it off, they could say that, hey, he got thrown off and he got hit on by a ship. He landed on a ship, or he landed on a trash bag, or maybe he got caught by some type of air vent. So there's many possibilities for the writers to show how Mace Windu have survived throughout his crash. But yeah, to see him in the storyline and to see how he might play out in the Obi-Wan series though is very interesting to me too, because we're not too sure is Mace Windu, is it going to be a separate scene of like what's Mace Windu is doing, or is it going to be a scene where Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi are, collaborating on a certain project or trying to help bring Lucas up throughout his Jedi teachings? How is that going to look like, or something like that?
Yeah, I have not seen the show yet, but I mean, I already know like who all shows up due to social media, but I have not seen Book of Boba Fett. But I see a really big complaint saying that it wasn't really about Boba Fett near the end of the series, like the last half. It ended up being like Mandalorian season 2.5. So I really hope they don't go that route, because a lot of people are going to watch this show for Obi-Wan. They don't want to watch another character's story, which yeah, we're gonna get some of that, like some side characters getting their full arc and whatnot, but I really don't want to see any more like baby Yoda, I like Grogu, whatever his name is. I know he's not like technically alive yet in this timeline. I mean, maybe he is, I could be completely wrong. But I just want to watch Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan TV series. I don't really care that much about the other characters at the moment. Like if they happen to cross paths for just like one scene, split second, no problem. As long as they have an effect on the overarching story that's happening in the TV show. Whereas from what I understand in Book of Boba Fett, it just turned into a huge cameo fest with Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. We see Luke and Grogu training, and then there's Mando in it, and then Cad Bane shows up, and it just sounds like it got very convoluted and it got too much fan service, which is what I'm really cautious about. Because are they going to have Darth Vader in here for an effect on the story, or are they just doing it to have Darth Vader in the show? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I definitely would say that when I was watching the book of Boba Fett, it felt more of more like it was more emphasis on the side characters. You know, it was kind of equal, like Boba Fett, Yoda, other characters, had their parts too, which I understand, but the storyline is tied to one character. We're watching it for one character. I was excited for the book of Boba Fett because I love Boba Fett. His father Jango Fett got killed in the match. I wanted to see how that was going to play out and how he was going to develop as a character because he's one of the coolest characters in Star Wars. And you watch the book of Boba Fett, and that's not entirely what it is. He's not the he's not the main character of his own storyline. And so hopefully Star Wars, they're gonna be able to recognize their mistake and not make the same mistake for Obi-Wan because their fans are actually really excited for this series. And so for them to like actually do the same mistakes that they did for the book of Boba Fett the same way they did for the Obi-Wan series, that'd be a huge hit back for the Star Wars franchise because a lot of I'm not gonna say like a lot of Star Wars fans have been mad, but I'd say they've been disappointed repeatedly for the countless of years, and so it's just like the Obi-Wan series could really bring them back up, but two also at the same time, it's not going to be more of a side character type of show. But I also would bring up is for the writers not to bring up too many side characters. Don't just bring Darth Vader just because he's Darth Vader. Bring him in there because he affects the storyline. Don't just bring Darth Maul, Mace, or Ahsoka. Even though Ahsoka will probably be a good asset, but yeah, you want to make Obi-Wan the main focus, the main objective. So interesting to see what they do. Duane, did you have anything you wanted to talk to or?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention about the Cad Bane part and like how we were talking about the side characters. It is very important how they manage those because you can't really, like you said, you can't really just bring in characters and just not like they don't have a purpose. You're just doing that for fan service because a lot of TV shows and movies do that, and those are the ones that don't really get a good review in the end. So it is very important how they manage it because like y'all mentioned in the book of Boba Fett, they brought in Cad Bane as like a little surprise. And yeah, it was cool, but I don't really see like outside of getting the dent in his helmet, he didn't really play such an important role from what I saw. Because I haven't like I've just seen clips, but from what I saw, he wasn't really a defining factor in the show. So that's my 2 cents about it.
Gotcha. Well, guys, have any last thoughts, closing, any remarks about this Obi-Wan series before we close out today?
Yeah. Oh, after you. Well, this time this is your turn.
Gotcha. So other than Ahsoka being most likely being set up for the next series, what other do you guys think that there's going to be like another series that may or may not be teased in here or another movie maybe, or do you think that this might possibly retcon episodes 7, 8, and 9, which people tend to generally dislike overall? Like me personally, I really liked episode 7. I liked aspects of episode 8, but overall I feel like it didn't live up to the expectations a lot of people had for it. So do you think it might retcon those, or do you think it might set up different series that might try to stray away from the whole mainstream thing, or what do you guys think?
Knowing Disney my bad. Dawn, you can go.
All right. I was just gonna tap it over. Basically, I think this is what Disney's kind of been trying to do a little bit is retcon the movies that people didn't really like. So I can see it being a 50-50 whether or not they keep it. But I think it's more I think they're more just gonna stay on tune with the movies because if they like cut out 7 and 8, that's just gonna bring more questions than other people just saying, "Oh, I'm glad those movies are gone." And as for like teasing, it's not more of a it's gonna happen, but I do kind of want to see a Mace Windu movie because I feel like that would be interesting because the way he died, like that's something that a lot of movies do, that that character comes back from. So I think it would be interesting to see a little Mace Windu side story. I feel like that would be interesting. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
I would say that for me, knowing Disney's pattern in like the past and how they treated certain series, I believe they're gonna tease for another series or tease for another movie. Like I said before, I haven't seen not even an episode that's come out yet, so I can't fully stand by what I'm gonna say, but I'm just gonna go off their pattern. Now, it also depends on the side characters that they introduce too, because like I said before, this movie is solely entirely on Obi-Wan, but of course, there's going to be side characters that come in. Now, the type of side characters that come in is important. If Mace Windu comes in and he impacts the story, maybe maybe they might make a series for Mace Windu. If a Baby Yoda comes in, probably not. But like, it depends on what type of character is coming in and how it's going to play out too. Like I'm trying to give off an example. Let's say you bring it off like in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, they brought off Ahsoka. Ahsoka was this type of character that was playing in. Maybe they were just thinking that she was just going to be more of a cartoon character. Well, the fans really liked her, and she played a good development around the storyline. Well, even though she's not in the movies, she's going to get her own series, and people have been asking for her own series. So now, whether that series is going to come out in the next few months or next year depends. But she has a series, so I would say that at the end, it depends on the type of character that's going to be introduced into the Star Wars the Star Wars series of Kenobi, but also at the same time too, good side characters, bad side characters. I think Disney is still going to try to make a teaser for next series or next movie that's going to come out. So that's just my own observation.
So before we wrap this up, I have a little theory I might want to propose, or that I am going to propose to you two, and I want to see what y'all think of it. So in the trailer, we see Joel Edgerton reprise his role. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but I believe that's how you say it. He reprised his role as Uncle Owen, or Owen Lars, who was Anakin's stepbrother, and Bonnie PC. Again, I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but she reprises her role as Viru Lars. We don't see her in the trailer, I don't think, but she is in the casting for the series, which makes sense because we do see a young Luke Skywalker playing on top of the house in Tatooine. So do you think, so here's what I think. I feel like since Uncle Owen was an established character, like in the trailer at least, I feel like he might play a role because he and Obi-Wan obviously know each other. He's the one that brought him baby Luke at the end of episode 3. So I think that maybe Uncle Owen might serve a bigger role in this series than he has in the movies, and that he will be a bigger player. And I feel like that role he has might be trying to smuggle Obi-Wan into the bigger city to get away from all the Inquisitors, or maybe he might be trying to smuggle Luke away, because the Grand Inquisitor at the beginning of the trailer, he says, "Where is he?" So I think he's most likely talking about Obi-Wan, but a little part of me is like, but is he talking about Luke? Maybe, because like Anakin knew his wife Padme was pregnant, so he could be aware that she did give birth, because I don't think he was fully aware of that, because by the time she does give birth, he's been chopped up by Obi-Wan and he was set on fire and he was being transformed into Darth Vader. So I think maybe this might be a story of Obi-Wan protecting Luke. And I just want to see what y'all think about that.
So the only problem I have with your theory is that yes, she did get pregnant, but also at the same time too, if you remember back in Revenge of the Sith at the end of the movie, whenever Darth Vader ask Palpatine if she's alive, Darth Sidious tells Darth Vader, "Well, out of your anger, you killed her." So in his head, he was thinking, "Okay, I killed Padme, which meant I also killed my children that were in her stomach." And so necessarily, like he doesn't know that he has a son until Jango Fett tells him. And the only reason why I know that because I read it's in the Star Wars comics. So, but also at the same time too, some of the comic books are not canon and some of them are. So I need to check back to see if that certain comic book is canon. But if it is canon, it would kind of like shut down your theory because Darth Vader doesn't know that he has a son until Jango Fett tells him he has a son. Because in Darth Vader's mind, he thinks that Padme is dead, which means my kid is dead because Palpatine told me that they're dead. And so he doesn't meet his son until he's an older child. So right now in the Obi-Wan series, though, Luke is a very young kid, so Darth Vader doesn't know anything about him. So wouldn't it make sense for him to send out for the Inquisitor to know that Lucas is Darth Vader's son if Darth Vader doesn't know that he has a son? But also at the same time, too, that Star Wars comic, I'm not sure if it's canon or not. If it is canon, then it probably, yeah, it would shut down your theory. But if it isn't, then it can be opened up to interpretation. But also at the same time, too, Will, Star Wars has been known for not really keeping up with their timeline and really sticking to the canon stories. I mean, technically, the Star Wars, the Clone Wars series isn't really that canon. I mean, it could be up to interpretation, but Dave Filoni, he's kind of like done his own interpretation of Star Wars that's kind of made his series a little bit non-canon. But if Star Wars did decide to follow the canon story, Darth Vader wouldn't know that he had a son until Jango Fett told him. But also at the same time, too, I do like your theory, though. It could work, too. Maybe he does know. But it kind of wouldn't make any sense because Darth Vader got told by Palpatine that his wife died. So maybe he does know. I'm not too sure, but I'm just using my context clues at this moment. But it's a good theory. Duan, what you think about it?
My bad about that. I responded a little late. I think what Will said could be true because Obi-Wan, he's smart. So as a character, I don't think he would be too invested in dealing with Inquisitors if he has to watch over Luke. So I think him like having to take Luke away or take him to the city and all that, I believe that it's true. And I do see how you can be right about Anakin not knowing about his son. And to be honest, it can go both ways. But for me personally, if Inquisitors are involved, Obi-Wan is smart and sneaky enough, and his force persuasion can get him out of dealing with Inquisitors that are hunting him. So I think the Inquisitors are hunting Luke, and that's what I have to say about it. But I can see how Anakin not knowing about his son can affect Will's theory, and I can see how that could also be true. So I think y'all are both right in a sense, but I am leaning more towards Will.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's very interesting because I can't really like 100% stand on it because Star Wars has been known not to really to be keeping up with their own canon story. So I can definitely see Will's theory. But I mean, at the same time too, it's really all up to the writers to decide on what they want to do. Now, could that Inquisitor, that scene which Will brought up, could that be Uncle Owen? That probably could be. Honestly, I really don't know. I mean, but yeah, just it's really all up to the writers up to this moment. But hey, hopefully it's gonna be real good, real good. But yeah, guys, did you guys have any more? Just gonna ask one more time. You guys have any more closing remarks, thoughts?
I'm just gonna do a quick summary. So
Gotcha.
basically, I think Obi-Wan is going to be a great series for the Star Wars franchise. I think that it's going to just push Ahsoka even further because of how prominent she's been in all the movies. So if we see another Ahsoka presence, I think that'll be a good thing on Disney's part. And in terms of teasing for another show. I think there will be a tease. I don't know what show personally, since Ahsoka is still pretty far out at this time. So we might get another Star Wars show from one of our favorite characters. But your guess is as good as mine. And I think Obi-Wan getting a standalone show was a good idea. And him having to go against the Inquisitors will be interesting to see what he does. And I hope that we get to see Will's idea of some sort of not Boba Fett. What are they called again? Jabba the Hutt appearance would be nice. And I think all around this show is going to be a great series to put on Disney Plus lists and hopefully make up for the Book of Boba Fett because that wasn't really great.
Yes. I'm just going to say one more thing, and I'm not going to elaborate on it at all. But I really, really want to see a series based on Admiral Thrawn, based on the book trilogy that Timothy Zahn wrote. If you haven't read the Thrawn series, it is a phenomenal book series, and I highly recommend it. I think there's like 3 in total, but it goes over how Thrawn rises to power through the Imperial Navy, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yes, sir. Hopefully this Obi-Wan series is going to be well impact, going to make a good impact around this franchise. Hopefully it, rises up to the expectations because, Star Wars really needs a good kick after that Book of the Boba Fett series. So, yeah, hopefully they do good. Guys, just one question, guys. Ask in the comments below. What theories do you guys have for this series? What guest appearances do you think it's going to happen? Do you think Cad Bane, Mace Windu, Ahsoka, R2-D2? What type of guest appearance do you think is going to happen? Leave us down in the comments. But yeah, today was a great episode today, guys. We talked a lot of good stuff. Obi-Wan series, hopefully it comes out. In Star Wars, we're doing real good. Like I said before, my name is Ryan Fasigue. We have Will and we have Dewan. And we'll see you guys later. Have a great day.